My mom's golden child ruined every special moment of my life. Turning 16 was supposed to be my moment. Sweet 16. The year you finally feel like life is starting, like the world is yours to take. For months, I'd envisioned it, a perfect day at the amusement park with my closest friends, the wind in my hair on roller coasters, funnel cakes, laughter, and memories to hold on to forever. I'd been saving up my own money, carefully budgeting for snacks, souvenirs, and maybe even one of those ridiculous oversized stuffed animals. But fate, or rather, my mom, had other plans. When she told me my younger sister had to tag along, I could feel the magic of my sweet 16 start to slip away. I tried everything to change her mind. I begged, I pleaded, I bargained. I even suggested hiring a babysitter or letting her stay with a relative for the day. But no. She's family, my mom said, as if that explained everything. And she'll behave. Behave? I knew better. My sister had a track record of tantrums, complaints, and ruining every special occasion she got her hands on. But my mom, as always, dismissed my concerns. "You're her older sister," she said. "Set an example." The day of the trip, I woke up with a heavy heart but tried to muster some optimism. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe, just this once, things would be different. Spoiler alert, they weren't. The chaos began before we even pulled out of the driveway. My sister, already sulking, started picking apart everything. "I don't like this music," she yelled as she reached for the radio, flipping stations wildly. My mom didn't stop her, of course. Next, it was the seatbelt. "It's too tight," she whined, tugging at it like it was strangling her. But the cherry on top was her refusal to sit in the back seat. "I get carsick back here," she lied, her voice dripping with melodrama. And, just like that, my mom ordered me to switch seats with her. "Just let her have the front," she said, as if it was the simplest solution in the world. So there I was, crammed into the back seat, knees to my chest, while my sister stretched out in the front like a spoiled queen. My friends, piled in the back with me, exchanged awkward glances, but no one said anything. By the time we got to the amusement park, I was already exhausted, but I tried to push the negativity aside. The vibrant colors of the rides, the smell of fresh popcorn, the excited chatter of other parkgoers, it all reminded me why I had been looking forward to this day. For a brief moment, I thought, this might still be okay. That moment didn't last. The first ride we approached was a massive roller coaster that I had been talking about for weeks. Just seeing it up close made my heart race with excitement. My friends and I hurried into the line, but before we could take 2 steps, my sister chimed in. "I'm not going on that," she declared, her face scrunched in exaggerated fear. "It's too scary." I tried to reason with her. "You don't have to go on. Just wait with Mom while we ride." But my sister wasn't having it. "I don't want to wait by myself," she whined, her voice rising in pitch. "What if something happens to me?" I looked to my mom, hoping for support. Instead, she shrugged. "You can't leave her alone," she said. "Pick something else." Defeated, we ended up on the carousel. My friends, bless them, tried to make the best of it, but I could see the boredom in their eyes as we rode in circles on painted wooden horses meant for 5-year-olds. I apologized profusely, but they just waved it off with forced smiles. The carousel set the tone for the rest of the morning. Every ride my friends and I wanted to try was met with resistance from my sister. Too scary. Too boring. Too fast. Every excuse in the book. My mom's response? "You need to compromise." So we wasted hours on kiddie rides and slow-moving attractions that none of us cared about. Finally, we made it back to the roller coaster, the one I had been dying to ride. I could already feel the rush of adrenaline just standing in line. But, predictably, my sister started crying. "I don't want to be left alone," she sobbed, clutching at my mom like her life depended on it. I begged. "Please, just let me go on this one ride. It's my birthday." But my mom shook her head. "You're her older sister. You need to stay with her." And just like that, my dream ride was gone. Lunch wasn't any better. I wanted pizza, but my sister insisted on burgers. "It's easier to just get burgers," my mom said, shutting down any further discussion. As we sat down to eat, my sister managed to knock over her drink, spilling sticky soda all over herself. Naturally, This led to another meltdown. "My clothes are wet," she wailed, tears streaming down her face. My mom turned her frustration on me. "Why didn't you help her sooner?" she snapped. "Give her your jacket." So there I was, shivering in the breeze, while my sister wore my jacket and continued eating as if nothing had happened. My friends were polite enough not to say anything, but I could feel their discomfort radiating off them. The rest of the day was a blur of complaints and compromises. Every time I thought I might salvage a moment of fun, my sister found a way to ruin it. She was tired. She was hungry. She was bored. And every time, my mom bent over backward to accommodate her while I was told to be the bigger person. We ended up leaving the park early because my sister was too exhausted to continue. The car ride home was silent, except for my sister humming loudly to herself, completely oblivious to the fact that she had ruined everything. My friends barely said goodbye when they were dropped off, and I couldn't blame them. That day was supposed to be my sweet 16. Instead, it felt like a lesson in humiliation. It wasn't the first time she'd ruined a special occasion, either. My 14th birthday party had ended in tears because she threw a tantrum over not getting enough attention. A family vacation to the beach was cut short because she refused to walk on sand. The list goes on and on. I'm counting down the days until I can leave this house. One day, I'll pack my bags, walk out that door, and finally live a life free from her constant chaos. Until then, I'll keep dreaming of the birthday I should have had, the one where I got to celebrate me without being dragged down by her endless whining. Part 2. If my sweet 16 was the tipping point, the years that followed were a full-on landslide. That day at the amusement park taught me a painful lesson: no matter how much I planned, saved, or dreamed, my sister had the uncanny ability to destroy everything in her path. But what made it worse, what really drove the knife in, was the way my mom enabled her. It was always be the bigger person or she's just a kid, as if my own feelings were an afterthought. After the amusement park disaster, I started keeping a mental tally of all the ways she managed to turn my life into a circus. Spoiler alert, the list grew fast. Take Christmas that same year, for example. I'd spent weeks hinting about the one thing I wanted: a new pair of headphones. I even left a link to the exact model on my mom's laptop to make it idiot-proof. Christmas morning came, and for the first time in ages, I felt excited. I tore through the wrapping paper on the biggest box under the tree, expecting to see my coveted gift. Instead, I found a set of matching dolls. For me and my sister. "Isn't this cute?" my mom gushed, oblivious to the look of horror on my face. "You two can play together." Play together? I was 16, practically an adult. Meanwhile, my sister was grinning like the Cheshire Cat, hugging the doll meant for her like she'd won the lottery. She didn't even notice, or care, that she'd just hijacked another one of my moments. Then there was the school play my junior year. I had landed a major role, and the night of the performance, I was nervous but proud. This was supposed to be my shining moment. But, true to form, my sister managed to steal the spotlight. Midway through the second act, as I stood on stage delivering my lines, I heard it, a piercing shriek from the audience. At first, I thought someone was being attacked. Then I saw her, my sister, flailing her arms and crying because someone in the next row had accidentally bumped her. My mom, instead of taking her outside, spent the next 10 minutes trying to calm her down, loudly, I might add. By the time they finally left, the damage was done. Everyone in the theater had been staring at her, not me. And don't even get me started on family vacations. Each trip seemed to revolve around her whims. She didn't like walking? We couldn't visit hiking trails. She didn't like seafood? Goodbye to my dreams of dining at beachside restaurants. She didn't like getting up early? Every single itinerary had to be scrapped. But the worst of it, the absolute worst, was prom night. I'd been looking forward to prom for months. My dress was perfect, emerald green with delicate beading that shimmered in the light. My hair and makeup were flawless, thanks to hours of practice. I was ready to have the night of my life. But as I was about to leave, dressed to the nines, my sister decided that she wasn't getting enough attention. "Why does she get to dress up and go somewhere fancy?" she whined, stomping her feet like a petulant child. My mom, instead of telling her to stop, actually started scolding me. "Why didn't you include her in the excitement?" she asked, as if it was my job to cater to her every emotion. "You know she feels left out sometimes." I stood there, speechless, while my sister smirked triumphantly. My mom didn't let it end there, though. As if ruining my send-off wasn't enough, she insisted on taking a dozen photos of me and my sister together before I left. My sister, of course, insisted on wearing her tiara from a school play, posing like she was the star of the evening. The whole ride to prom, I fumed. By the time I arrived, my mood was ruined. Even dancing with my friends and trying to soak in the night couldn't shake the frustration of yet another stolen moment. Looking back, I realize my mom's refusal to set boundaries with my sister was the root of it all. She made excuses for her, coddled her, and acted like the world should bend to her every whim. But I couldn't just blame my mom. My sister knew exactly what she was doing. She thrived on attention, good or bad, and she had no problem stepping on my happiness to get it. By the time I turned 18, I was counting down the days until college. Freedom felt so close I could taste it. The idea of finally having my own space, my own life, away from the constant chaos, was the only thing that kept me sane. But of course, even that wasn't immune to my sister's meddling. Move-in day at my dorm was supposed to be a milestone, a fresh start. I was excited to decorate my room, meet my roommate, and finally embrace my independence. But my sister had other plans. She sulked the entire drive to campus, complaining about the heat, the long trip, and the fact that she wasn't getting her own dorm room. When we arrived, she immediately started rummaging through my stuff. "Why do you get all these new things?" she asked, holding up my string lights. "I want some too." My mom, instead of stopping her, just smiled. "Maybe we'll get you some next year," she said, completely ignoring the fact that this was supposed to be my moment. As I unpacked, my sister insisted on helping, which mostly meant criticizing my choices. "That poster's ugly," she said at one point. "Why are you putting your desk there? It's weird." By the time they finally left, I was so drained I couldn't even enjoy my first night on campus. Now, at 19, I'm finally starting to rebuild the life that was constantly overshadowed by her chaos. College has given me the space I needed to breathe, to focus on myself without constantly being pulled into her drama. But the scars of those years still linger. Every holiday break, every family event, every phone call from home brings back the same exhausting energy. I've learned to set boundaries, but it's a constant battle to enforce them. I know I'm stronger for having endured all of it, but sometimes, I can't help but wonder how different my life might have been if I hadn't spent so many years playing second fiddle to my sister's whims. For now, I'm focusing on building a future that's entirely my own, a future where I'm no longer just the older sister. A future where I can finally be the main character in my own story.